Hello, everyone. My guest today is David Siksnans. He's CEO of a company called Printful, the market's largest print-on-demand and dropshipping company. His IT background, business ambition, and determination has led Printful becoming a successful printing, warehousing, and tech company. Since its founding in 2013, Printful has fulfilled more than 11 million orders, representing over 540 million in customer revenue. All right, David, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
What does $540 million in customer revenue actually mean?
Well, it means 11 million products printed over the course of 6 years. Yeah, we started back in 2013. And most of that growth is actually in the last years. And last year, in 18, we grew almost 70%. So it's still rapid growth. It means thousands of sellers making income by using Printful.
Again, what I'm trying to get at is how you get the $540 million number. Is it essentially adding up the sale price of everything that sellers have printed with you?
Yes. So in marketplaces and Shopify and companies like that, usually call it the gross merchandise volume. You can just a retail value of total products the Printful customers sold, essentially, because we are a B2B business.
Yep. Okay. That's helpful to understand. I want to get more into your product line in here in a second, but I want to get a sense first of kind of growth. So you said $540 million in GMV since 2013, which was founding date. Over the past just 12 months, what was total GMV?
Well, I actually don't know, but I think it doubled. What doubled in the last 12 months was we printed 5 million items in 1 year ago. It's now 11 million items. So we doubled in items printed, so the GMV likely doubled too. Okay, got it. So you've essentially, over the course of your life, you've printed 11 million items. In the past 12 months, you've done 5 million, almost 50% of that. Yes.
Is there a direct correlation to revenue? So could I say over the past 12 months, that means probably about 220 million of GMV has gone through the platform?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And then, so how do you make money? Is this just a pure kind of, it's a, cost per printed thing, or is there a software play?
It's currently only cost per print. We didn't want to restrict the sellers and, make them pay an upfront fee, even if they're not going to sell anything. It was important to have a free product, free to use, and encourage them to get the first order.
And so who do you see yourself competing with? Like, obviously you have competitors in each kind of thing you print. So t-shirts might be Teespring, and I'm sure there's other competitors for other things you print, but who do you see as your biggest competitors?
Well, there's multiple players in our space, but there's very few companies that actually do their own printing. Teespring is one of them. They run our own marketplace, but we mostly work with Etsy sellers, Shopify sellers, WooCommerce. We actually have like 18 different other platforms. And you can look in marketplaces like Shopify, and you will see a bunch of other players there like T-Launch, Guten, etc. But we were one of the first ones that actually pioneered this, especially for e-commerce platforms, and everybody else just cropped up later. So I think we're still pretty much the obvious leader in the space.
Mm-hmm. So if I am a founder of a company and I want to buy, I'm going to make this up, my team loves yoga, and I want to buy yoga pants or leggings for all of us. I see you've got leggings on your homepage starting at $17.50. So if I came to you and said, hey, I want 50 of these printed, I should expect to pay you about $17.50 per printed item. Is that right?
Right. But mostly people don't get 50 items printed. Like, they create a listing on their Etsy store or Shopify store, and all is printed on demand as a one-off, no minimum. So that's still the old model. When you saw screen printed and bulk printed items, we actually don't do almost none of that. So all of our items are produced as one-off. Like, our average order size is less than 2. So most orders are actually SKUs. One item. Yeah, like most orders are just 1 or 2 items.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you how you actually do. Like, I wish you could take me around. I don't know if you're sitting in your factory or whatever, but I'm going to, like, a real example would be like if you're screen printing leggings and you're also, how many orders do you process a day?
Tens of thousands.
Okay, fair enough. Over 10,000. Let's say divide by 2, because the max order size to say is 2, right? The average is under 2. So you essentially need, if you're screen printing leggings, shirts, ball caps, whatever, 5,000 different machines with different screen print. Okay, so how do you solve that magic?
That's kind of the beautiful thing. You're talking about the old industry that uses screen printed presses. The new digital printing industry, actually, there's one machine that prints every single order, and each T-shirt that gets put on the machine on its platen can be different. It could be a different design. And it doesn't really matter. You don't
What's
have
the
to pay
machine
any
called?
Well, there are digital textile printers, but the leader in this space is Kornit, with K, which is an Israeli company, and we buy the printers from there.
Can you spell it? Sorry, K what?
Kornit. So Kornit.
Kornit.
They're actually a public company. Recently, I think they reached a $1 billion market cap. Amazon Merch, if you heard about it, uses them, and many other players. Fanatics is using these printers.
How many printers have you bought from them?
Oh, like 50 plus. These printers are expensive, $200,000 to start. The more recently printers that we're acquiring, they're $500,000 a piece. So they're pretty expensive, but they're great because they can, every single order can be different, and there's no issues producing.
It's all essentially you're feeding digital files into the machine, and it has basically ink cartridges, and it's rearranging the ink cartridges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically how you would print on a paper in a business setting, it just prints on textiles like that.
Yeah, this is really, really interesting. So if you look over the past 12 months, okay, well, hold on, let me make sure I get this right. So let's actually say I'm selling on Etsy. Someone bought one of my leggings with my face down the leg. I don't know why the hell they'd buy that, but let's say they bought it. I charge $50 for it on Etsy. I'm immediately processing via an API call to you, $17.50 to get that thing printed. You're then drop shipping as well to my customer, correct?
Yes.
Additional fee on top of the $17.50?
Right. The additional shipping cost that you normally charge to the customer.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm charging $50 to my customer. The total $500 million, whatever that you've done over your life, that's adding up the $50 price point, right? Not the $17.50. So if you add up just the kind of the cost of goods sold to Etsy sellers like me that have been processed through you, what is that? Is it like 20% of the $540 million or what?
Well, it depends on what product is sold. Usually leggings, those products actually have a larger retail wholesale price difference, but roughly our sellers sell the product between 30 to 50% premium. So our price and our revenue would be about 30 to 50% less, depending on the customer, etc. So the average would be around there.
Yeah. Okay. So if I take 540 million and kind of spend through you and assume 200 million was over the past 12 months, right across the 5 million items you've printed, we could essentially call it 30% lower than 200 million. So call it, what is that? 130 million essentially in kind of payments to you for the hard stuff. You obviously have your own cost of goods sold on top of that, but 130 million ish to you.
So, something around that. It depends on which customers, obviously, because there's a difference that bigger customers get discounts. So there would be a bigger difference. So the bigger customers actually different. So it would be less than what you estimated.
Okay.
And the most successful sellers are usually who have a good audience fit, and they sell at even a higher retail price than 50%.
Yeah. What's your team size look like today? How many folks?
Well, we're about 500 people globally, about 300 in the US and about 200 in Riga, Latvia, and we're constantly growing. Actually, the European teams doubled over the last year, and about 3 weeks ago, we opened up a smaller office for software engineering, also in Barcelona and Spain.
What is tough about the software side of this? I thought your biggest expense would surely be the machine aspect.
Well, that is kind of our differentiator among other competitors. We are vertically integrated. So we have a software that both integrates with the APIs of Shopify's and Etsy's and WooCommerce's of the world. We also integrate directly to our printers. So sellers can actually see in real time the status of their order, like when it gets picked, print, quality controlled, packed, and shipped. And that is something that our devs built. So it integrates all the printing equipment from various manufacturers and all our 4 facilities worldwide that actually produce these orders. And, you have to do things like order splitting, routing. You have to integrate with all the carriers and many, many other things for the whole thing to work seamless.
Is there a drag and drop platform as well for the creators to kind of create their textile items inside of your platform?
Yeah, you create your graphic, like you said, your face, and you would put in a t-shirt, and it would kind of push the listing to Etsy or a Shopify store, and ultimately create it on the storefront so the customer can buy it. So there's no like costs up until the point the order gets printed. So we also make that mock-up generation software, so the mock-ups come out great.
Yeah. Have you chosen to bootstrap the company, or did you decide to raise capital?
Well, the founders of the company, there's two other co-founders beside me. Actually, we have built online businesses for 15 years. The first one is actually an idea adopted from Friendster in 2014. So we created the Facebook of Latvia. So that business and many others were successful and profitable. So that was the starting capital to our business. We would have needed to raise capital if we didn't have the money ourselves. So
how much did it cost you to get the MVP together, would you say?
Well, it took us about 6 to 9 months, maybe a couple of $100,000. But the lot of cost additionally is renting warehouse space and those equipment. We initially actually wanted to outsource all that to POD company, but none would meet like the quality and criteria we needed. These were pretty old school printing companies, and we needed that to just have a tech company first mindset and reinvent a lot of the printing stuff that's been done before.
Yep. That's great. Okay. So bootstrap today, you've self-funded.
Yes.
That's great. And then what's your next, as you're growing the company and you founders and your team get together, what do you set goals around? Is it number of SKUs processed per day? Is it, just average order volume? What are the metrics you care most about?
There's a lot of, but of course, there's operational metrics where we care, like, are we shipping these products on time? How many shipments are like late shipments? What's the average fulfillment time? Things like that are operational metrics. But obviously, we care about growing active sellers on the platform.
How many are there today?
Well, we had 1.3 million sign up, and we have more than 100,000 that are active.
Define active.
Had at least an order within last year.
One order in the past year. Okay, interesting. 100,000. And then how many, I'm trying to understand, how do you measure how the lifetime value of those customers? Is it just an equation of volume of SKUs through your platform, velocity, GMV?
Right. Yeah, it's a little more challenging, more difficult. But yeah, we, a lot of customers have been us for many years. So we actually, look at all the orders that they send to us. So we have customers who have a lifetime value over millions, obviously, because they've been for a long time. And we look at, like other SaaS business, we will look at cohorts. We will look like what's happening to 2015 and 16 and 17 cohort. Why this cohort is growing and that cohort is not growing. And we look at marketing channels, like where it's best to acquire a customer.
Well, what's the answer? What's the answer to that right now? What channels are working well for you that are not kind of traditional channels?
Well, we have been really efficiently acquiring customers. Most of the customers are acquired organically through direct or Google or our partnerships with marketplaces. So we have listings on Shopify App Store, on BigCommerce App Store. It's a lot of word of mouth among Etsy sellers that speak to each other. So actually, more than 50% of our customers are acquired without spending us direct marketing dollars to acquire them.
Yeah.
So that's actually a great model. But on paid acquisition, more recently, Google AdWords have been working, or Google Ads. And actually, we've been able to acquire small B2B sellers using Instagram advertising. We see a bigger decrease in Facebook, and actually, the Facebook metrics all seem to be going down, and I believe that's kind of the case for many businesses, but Instagram is definitely booming.
So your effective CAC, right? Your customer acquisition cost on these paid channels, what would you, average it out to?
Well, it depends per channel, but we would roughly spend up to $10 to acquire one signup.
Okay, and how many signups do you need to actually get one of those signups to actually print one thing with you?
How many signups we need to have print something? I think our conversion rate was about, 6 to 10%, depending on a given month.
Okay, so you need between 10 and 15 signups to get one of them to actually start printing with you. So that's about $150 for a new customer, $10 per lead.
Right.
That's interesting. And then do you do modeling around what you believe the average lifetime value is of these customers?
Well, it's harder to model if you don't have a monthly. monthly price that they fix. So we are now in a process of exploring that. But a lot of this depends on account managers and salespeople directly speaking to customers, so that their value goes up. Them running sales campaigns, them adapting our new products, them selling multi-channel like Shopify, Etsy, both on marketplace on their store. So that is more impactful for increasing customer lifetime value than any other things.
Last question here before we wrap up. What's like the very uncomfortable stretch goal for this year, where if you hit it in terms of revenue, you and your team will be, toasting champagne bottles and having a lot of fun?
Well, it changes every year. So like when we hit the first million, then 10 million, and now we're, it's not far-fetched that we can hit 100 million items. And, we believe that this space is large enough to create multiple multi-billion-dollar companies with either revenue and market capitalization exceeding that.
When do you think, what year do you think will be your first in terms of your revenue, $100 million year? Do you think they can be next year or 2021?
Well, this year, definitely.
You think for sure this year you'll pass that?
Well, in revenue, yes.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that means on top of that, you're actually processing $250-300 million in GMV for your sellers.
Right. Well, a lot of that is processed on their Shopify stores and Etsy as well.
Yeah. Of course. And then back out of that for me. So if you think you'll pass 100 this year, what did you pass last year so we can get year-over-year growth rate?
So previously it was 70. So this year it's still, mid-year. It's difficult. So on percentage point, we're going to drop, but it's very difficult now to say exact percentage.
Well,
right now.
By the way, you're allowed to drop some percentage points when you're trying to double a massive number, right? It's easy to go from $1 to $3 and call it 200% year-over-year growth. Going from 70 million to 140 million is a little more difficult.
Right.
Okay, so 20.
But like when you work in your, the size of the company we were at, you want to be cautious about that, because always there's potential investors listening and they're going to write that down and they're going to hold you accountable to that number. So you have to run a serious, like a budgeting process and all that to make sure anything you mention, you're going to actually fulfill. Yeah,
but you guys don't have outside investors and you don't need to raise. It doesn't sound like are you break even today?
Yeah, we are. So we don't need to, but there's definitely interest from people. So our company might have an actually exit at some point. So, we still talk to investors and they write these things down. So although we're not actively raising money, at some point our company will have some kind of liquidity event, and we try to run company in a way like we had investors. Would you want to keep, let's say a private equity firm, I'll make this up, let's say Vista Equity or KKR came to you and said, hey guys, listen, you've been doing this since 2013. We love what you're doing, but you also probably would love some cash now. Let us buy 60% of the company, right? As essentially in a secondary for X amount of money. And then you guys keep running the company. Do you think you'd be interested in that structure, or do you want to kind of have it be an all or nothing? Probably not. A lot of companies have approached us already. We were really having fun in our business. So when we talk with everybody else in the company, as long as we're having fun and enjoy it, we're probably not interested in a outright acquisition offer. There could be some limited liquidity at some point, and really depends on the right partner and the valuation that they're going to assign to the company. So when somebody approaches us, we're talking to them and see if there's a fit. But so far there has not been. Why didn't you take Shopify's offer? Shopify? If Shopify wanted to acquire us? Yeah. Why wouldn't you sell to them? Probably they might not be interested in us because we actually play with their competitors, but we might. We like their company and the business they're running, their values, and making commerce better for everyone. But I think we will think about it when that option became available. I don't think it's too worthwhile to spend too much time thinking about it because there hasn't been an offer like that. Do you, when you and your founders are kind of having beers and pizza in a back room when no one else is around, you're chit chatting, do you guys generally believe you kind of have hit the $1 billion valuation point at this point? Yeah, it's becoming realistic, more realistic every year. The market size definitely is there. That's you're in a great market. But
Yeah.
there's other companies who are in this space who already done that. So
Name one or two.
Well, printing space, Shutterfly and Cimpress. And
Spell that second one.
Cimpress, Cimpress. They are own Vistaprint.
Yep. Are you in acquisition talks right now with Vistaprint?
If we were, we wouldn't be able to tell you, but no, we're not.
All right. Last two questions here. When was the first $1 million a year revenue for you? Do you remember?
I think it was the second year.
Okay, so it would have been 2014.
Yeah, 2014.
And when was the first $10 million a year?
Probably 15. Yeah, probably 15. Yeah,
Okay,
I can't even remember.
No, that's okay.
It seems so small compared to where we're now.
Yeah. But the journey is helpful to understand. Okay, very good. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, what's your favorite business book?
It actually changes every year as we scale up. But more recently, I liked Reid Hoffman's Blitzscaling because it's more relevant to our business right now.
Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Lots of CEOs I'm following or studying, but I really like Toby Latka from Shopify, obviously because we have the right relationship with Shopify.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Oh, there's many. I mean, I wouldn't say this is an online tool, but the most important tool that I use is Things productivity app, just to list all the items.
What's it called?
Things.
Oh, okay. Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
7.5. Actually, I have an Aura sleep tracker, so I actually know exactly. Last week was 7.5 on average.
I love that. And what's your situation, Devasi? You married, single, kiddos?
I'm just in a relationship. No kids yet. I'm 28, so pretty young still.
That's good. And last question, what do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Well, I wish that my 20-year-old self knew that you shouldn't stress too much about all the things. There's very little amount of stuff that you really should stress over. And I was stressed out over far too non-important things in retrospect. So I should have been more chill.
Guys, there you have it. Printful, one of the rare stories, bootstrap company, now quickly approaching $100 million in revenue. Likely will pass that this year, over $70 million last year. They make their money by taking a percent of the over $540 million that folks like Etsy sellers have put through them to actually print things they've sold on Etsy or Shopify or these other networks. They do it by expending money on these very talented, pretty incredible machines, $500,000 a pop, that allow them to print these things out even one order at a time at fairly cost-effective rates. They have over 100,000 active sellers, meaning they've sold at least one thing over the past 12 months or printed one thing over the past 12 months through the platform, spending on average called $150 to get a new customer as they look to scale with their team of 500 people. Again, totally bootstrapped. Davis, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you.